And welcome back to Metropole Sports Center. My name is Nashon Owano. As was promised in the first segment of the show, the second bit we are going to be looking at the lineup of Harambee Stars. And in case you missed it, the following is just some of the profiles that you're looking at before we went for the break. Now, the following was some of the players that had received a call-up, that is like a provisional, some of the players that had been named in the provisional squad that was announced by the coach, that is Francis Kimanzi. Arnold Origi was tipped off to be coming back to playing for the country. Then there was Ian Otieno, and then there was Clark Odwor, who's all the way from Barnsley, and then there was Ayub Timbe, Johanna Omolo, Brian Musa, Michael Olunga, Elvis Rupia, and finally John Avire, who plays in Egypt. Those are just some of the notable names that were mentioned in the provisional squad. But as things will have it, you understand that you're having the whole conversation about COVID-19. Arnold Rodriguez did not show up for the match that was played today. Also noticeably missing from the game was Harambee Stars International, that is Victor Wanyama, who plays for Impact Montreal all the way in Canada. Now, as mentioned earlier, I'm joined in studio by our Swahili host, who's not new to this show, that is John Makali, and we're just going to be making sense of the whole conversation. Makali, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks man, good to be back. Fanya Kiswahili sana, nimepoteza Kiingereza.
I can see man, I can see you're a bit timid with the English, but you're really doing a good job on the Swahili segment. Now, since last I had you on the show, a couple of things happened in the sporting scene in Kenya. Two things notably. There was the announcement of the sponsorship deal. We were supposed to be having this conversation, but we never did. And there was the whole resumption guidelines that were issued by Amina Mohamed a couple of weeks back. Looks that it has been brighter. The local league has been shining a bit brighter, like there's light at the end of the tunnel, you know. What do you make of the whole situation, the sponsorship with Star Times and the sponsorship of the league by BetKing?
I think Nation, it's relief to not only the Kenya Premier League, but also the Women League and also the national team. Today you saw Star Times, they have broadcasted the match between Zambia and Harambee Stars. And when you look at this sponsorship, the BetKing sponsorship, 1.2 billion. It's actually a relief to the teams. You're going to see club licensing coming up, because for a long time we've not been having club licensing, and so many players have been getting injuries. There's a time Otieno of Gor Mahia got an injury, and the club was unable even to pay for his bills. For now, I think it's going to be very important for the players and the clubs, because when you look at the BetKing sponsorship, 1.2 billion, they're not going to get into the teams a lot concerning about which sponsors are coming in for them. For them, they're just focused on the league and making sure that every team will get its bit of the money. But you look at some of the clubs like Gor Mahia, look at FC Leopards, they have different sponsors. BetSafe are in. You look at Betika. So you find that so many betting firms are coming back to sponsor these teams. Again, you look at the players. Last season, you had so many teams. We had a team being relegated because of not making it to attend matches because of financial problems. And again, you look at the pay of players. It has been a bit low. So we're looking forward to see like players' welfare will be taken good care of. Again, you look at some things like hooliganism in the field. When Gor Mahia is playing FC Leopards, you find that players and if a team loses, the fans are all over trying to break the chairs and the stadium. And we've had these at Kasarani. At the moment, Nyayo Stadium has been refurbished. So, such a sponsorship will have them taking care of such things in case it happens, because you'll find out like some time back when such things happened, clubs could be chased out of the premises where they were playing. So I think it's a good relief to the clubs and the players.
Two things you've mentioned there that I have to pick on. You've mentioned BetSafe, the sponsorship that AFC Leopards have with BetSafe. By the way, they really have nice
kits.
Nice kits. As Tete has demonstrated. He's always walking around in the office with the AFC Leopards jersey. There's that, but also Gor Mahia fan number one, that is Jaro Soja, is of the opinion that it's AFC Leopards who are usually the causes of chaos in the stadium. Do you agree with that sentiment, though?
I wouldn't want to pick on sides because at the moment where we are, we're not supposed to pick on sides. But what I'll say that they need to educate their fans. In case you interviewed an FC Leopards, you'll say it's Gor Mahia. And if you interview Jaro from the other side, you'll say the other way around. So, I mean, they need to educate their fans at this time. And I think the league will grow. Look at the likes of Ugandan League and Vodacom of Tanzania. They're really doing very great.
Also South Africa. The league in South Africa is really doing so well. Now,
if we try and make sure that clubs are educating their fans to avoid such things, I mean, the league will grow and will have so many players going out. You mentioned about start times,
the sponsorship.
The sponsorship, I think it's 1.1 billion. It will help to get, during that time when we had Super Sports, so many players could play outside the country because we are selling our talents and our youth out there to go and shine. So starting this season, it will be a good relief. We've had so many players from the Women League going outside to play in Turkey, in Europe. You mentioned Clark Odoro coming from Barnsley. So if we are going to showcase these talents, at least so many people are going to watch across the globe. So that means we'll have so many players again moving out to go and trade with other clubs.
A very noticeable problem that today we are talking about the game Harambee Stars versus Zambia. The common problem that came out during the whole Harambee Stars versus Zambia game in terms of player collapse was the whole issue of COVID-19 restrictions that have been issued by different countries. Noticeably missing in the squad was Victor Wanyama. And at the back of that, relevant stakeholders, namely the federations, were of the opinion that their teams were not classified, were not given the right classification. Because you remember Amina Mohamed says non-contact sports, something of the sort. So there are people who still feel like they should start already. Nick Mwendwa mentioned something about the regulations that they had given ahead of the game today. Do you think the whole conversation in terms of the resumption of fans into the stadium needs to be fast-tracked more?
I mean, if the situation is worse in Kenya, I think what we need to do is have the players, the teams back to training and the league to resume, and we can have the players playing without the fans in the field. We've mentioned about the sponsorship deal about BetKing, and during that time of the launching of that deal, Nick Mwendwa said that we'll have fans to stream the games live on their phones, and you'll only need to pay 200. So if that is possible, then why keep players at home and keeping in mind that that's the only way they're making money out of it. It's business, so it's like an employment to most of them. You look at Tanzania. The league, they played up to the end. We didn't. And at the moment, they're playing. You look at Uganda, Rwanda, they have already given the resumption dates. But in Kenya, it's not happening. And it's when I was looking at the Harambee Stars, the players training, I mean, this thing is going to be a big problem because next month we're going to have a qualifiers game. So if our players are not fit, it's going to be a big problem. I mean, it could have been better for Kimanzi to take a look on those players who have been active in their leagues, players from Simba, the likes of Joash Onyango, players who have been coming from Zambia, Oduor from Barnsley. But if you focus on local players, because most of the players who have been called up, they're local players. They've not been training. It's almost 1 year. They've not even been in camp. They have had training, like I think 4 times. And today in the morning, they also trained at National Stadium. So I don't think that's enough time for the team, keeping in mind that the FKF president Nick Mwendo is saying that we need to qualify for 2022 World Cup and the AFCON. So we need to resume, even if it's only football, they need to resume. Because, if you keep in mind that next month, if we're not going to play Comoros, then that means we are going to be banned. And remember, during the reopening of Nyayo National Stadium, we did talk to the FKF president Nick Mwenda, and he said that if we are not going to honor that, then we'll be banned for a long period of time. So the government needs to look into it and make sure that the Kenyan League is back.
Okay. So, top of the conversation, you mentioned the upcoming fixture, that is Comoros versus Harambee Stars. Looking at the lineup that was issued today, when the final lineup that was given by Francis Kimanzi, were you happy with that lineup?
I wasn't happy because most of the players, they're not fit. That's the first thing. Again, when you look at some of the players who have been called to participate in the national duty, they didn't make it here because of the pandemic. You look at the top scorer, Michael Olunga, he's topping in the Japanese league. He didn't make it here. Look at the likes of Arnold Origi. You have the likes of Yohano Molo. He did very well in Egypt during the AFCON last year. Victor Nyama. I mean, you look at the young players who are coming in, they've not been on the field. The likes of Kenneth Muguna playing for Gor Mahia. These guys have not been playing for a very long time. And the national team has not played actually for almost a year. So to me, I wasn't happy with that squad. That's the first thing. Kimanzi, despite the fact that Kimanzi is coming in as a new coach, keeping on changing these coaches, it becomes a problem to the national team. What I think FKF needs to do is try and stick to one local coach. If it's Kimanzi, if you decided it's Kimanzi, let him be there for at least 5 years and build a team from scratch. I mean, if you bring in the likes of young players like Oduor, I mean, we need to have a team from under 12. You're just coming up with a very solid team, the ones that will be representing the national team. If you look at Harambee Stars, today they'll come up with a different team. The next time another coach comes in, he comes up with another squad. So it becomes very difficult to come up with a team chemistry. You look last year when we were playing in Egypt, and the likes of Jesse Were, they couldn't feature. This time you look at the likes of John Mark Makwata playing in Zambia. They've not been called to the national team. And if you look keenly during the time of sponsorship of SportPesa, I mean, these are the young players who are under 20 who represented Kenya when we played Hull City. So if you're coming up, you're trying to build a team, then it reaches a point you do away with that squad. It becomes problematic to the national team. To me, I feel like it's time is up for the likes of Victor Wanyama. For a squad like Harambee Stars, we need to have I think 5 experienced players. Have one goalkeeper, Arnold Origo is experienced. Have another defender, 2 midfielders, and up front you can have Olunga with him and another local player. I mean, like the likes of Avire, they're doing very well. We can have a very good team that we can make it to the 2022 Qatar World Cup.
Okay. Yeah. You've mentioned a very interesting point there. There is the likes of Clark Oduor, who initially before joining Barnsley was playing for Leeds United, who are now been promoted into the English Premier League. There's the backdrop of that. So we are going to be taking a short commercial break, but after that we are going to be delving more into the whole conversation.
And actually we had rumors that he could join Sheffield this season, but Barnsley actually they decided to stick with him because they know the kind of player he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be talking more about Clark Oduor. That sums up our first segment of this discussion. We take a short commercial break. See you after the break.